Hey everybody, Brad Clemens back again. This week we're talking about some finance books. I just had finished Love Your Life, Not Theirs by Rachel Cruze. For those of you that may not know her, she works at Ramsey Solutions. She's actually the daughter of Dave Ramsey, their second child. And throughout this book, she goes through her take on what it means to have a financial future and have financial security in your life. So if you want to, definitely recommend this one. We'll go into why in just a moment though, but that's Love Your Life, Not Theirs, again by Rachel Cruze. If you're looking to read along with me for my next book, got another Rachel Cruze one here. This one's Know Yourself, Know Your Money. So it kind of goes into, from what it seems, why you treat money in the way you do, and causes of that, and so on and so forth. Only a couple chapters in, but that one's coming next. But let's dive right into this Love Your Life, Not Theirs. So for those of you that aren't familiar with Dave Ramsey, he is one of America's leading financial figures, and he talks about, he takes a common sense, almost biblical way to finances, meaning, don't spend more than you earn and avoid debt like it's a plague. So let's get into that. If you remember back, I did a total money makeover video not too long ago, and there's various different baby steps within it. The first baby step being save $1,000 as your starter emergency fund. The second one is get out of debt, the debt snowball. Third being save 3 to 6 months as a full-fledged emergency fund. 4 is retirement. 5 would be college. 6 is mortgage, and 7 is live like no one else. At that point, that means everything else has been funded and you're good to go. And again, going into this, Rachel here talks about those same steps, not to quite as much detail, but she talks about it from her perspective. And it's kind of a little more a younger take. So for those that are younger readers, this might be a good book for you. Definitely felt more of a connection there throughout parts of it. Other parts, maybe it's just still a good read, but didn't have that full connection. But that could very easily be just different personality based, different ideology that I have compared to her, which is something she does dive into in her second book. But let's go into this. So she talks about having 7 different habits. First one is quitting the comparisons. Second being steer clear of debt. Third being make a plan for your money. Fourth, talk about your money. Fifth, save like you mean it. 6, think before you spend. And 7, give a little until you can give a lot. So let's go into each of those a tiny bit. So we quit the comparisons. This one's huge. For those that are a little older, you might heard of the cliche, trying to keep up with the Joneses. I've heard it. I understand the concept of it, but I don't understand, who the Joneses are. But the bottom line is trying to, don't try and impress your neighbors. Don't try and spend money just to, have the same stuff, have better stuff. The comparison game is horrible. And for people like, my age group or just above or just under, we've grown up with a strong comparison game with social media. We see everyone's posts, and they're not posting their entire life, they're only posting the highlights. So we see that fabulous, beach vacation. We see that, immaculate new house, or that expensive new car, and we think, I deserve that, I need that. And that's the kind of thinking that gets you in trouble. As soon as you think you deserve something, that you need it, then you're gonna go out and probably try and get it. And for many, that's not something that's, financially justified, at least not in the present moment. And you go into further debt to make that creation happen. Now, that's not to say that the people that are posting on Instagram or so are in debt to make this happen, but they could be. They may be, they may not be. Bottom line is you only see a snippet of what their life really is. So try and compare your life, your entire life, to just that small photo is not a good thing to be doing. Because it's never going to plan out in the way you want it to. You're always going to be in the negative. You're always going to be looking for more, and that's because, again, you don't see the full reality of what's going on. And the other thing is, it takes away from what you did. Take, for instance, you took a nice, maybe a couple of friends. You went up to a national park, got a cabin for the weekend, and had a great trip. You had a good time with your friends. You had a good time. Just hanging out, maybe doing some hiking, having some, chilling by a fire, whatever it may be, right? Now, it's not a terribly expensive trip, but you created some good memories and you had a good time. Now, let's say you get back home, it's a Tuesday afternoon, you're on your lunch break and you're skimming through Facebook and you see, a distant friend that had just gotten back from a beach vacation in Cancun. Is that one better than yours? That's the thought that's going to go through your mind, is why can they afford it? Why couldn't I? We graduated at the same time. Why are more successful than I? And you end up, stealing away the happiness and joy you had from that first vacation, that first trip you had with your friends. And for what reason? Not like you can just do that Cancun trip. It's not like you were the one there. You don't even know how it affected them. But what you did know is that you had a good time on your camping trip, and now that happiness is leaving you. Or let's say, you got something, you saved up and you end up getting, let's say you like purses, you end up saving up and getting this brand new Louis Vuitton bag. But then you look on Instagram and you see this glorified Italian luxury leather bag or something, and you start comparing again. Is one better than the other? Not really, no. And the difference is, for a fact that you did yours debt-free. You know for a fact it brought you joy. So why let others steal that joy away from you? There are many good things about social media. Your ability to connect with people, stay friends with people, continue to interact, and so on and so forth. But there's a big problem, though, with the concept of comparison living. And it happens with cars, it happens with houses, it happens with trips, it happens with nearly anything and everything. And that's something that, as in habit 1, this is the very first habit, probably the most important habit in her mind, is something you have to break. Now, I know I'm guilty of it at times. Some things I'm better at than others, but there's certain things that I struggle with that comparison living. I do compare my career to other careers at times, in part because I was offered some higher paying salaries out of college and I said no to them. I turned down the money for doing something that I thought I would enjoy more, for a passion of mine. And for some people, that's not what they would do. Others, they would follow the same path I did. Now, in my benefit, I had worked and paid my way through college with help of my parents, but I did graduate college debt-free from a litany of different reasons. Some being, me personally working, some being what they saved, others being scholarships and grants I received. But I put the work in. And because I didn't have student loans going out of college, it gave me the freedom, the ability to choose a passion over that, $90-some thousand salary out of college. And I know some people, whenever I talk about this, think I'm crazy for turning it down. And at points, regret, or the what ifs come into my mind. Like right now, I'm only about a third of that. And I feel like there's a lot of stuff I've been missing out on because I didn't end up getting that salary. But at the same time, I'm not sure how I'd be, where my happiness would be. Would I be happy in that position? Or would it be one of those times I dread every Monday waking up, I dread going to work every day? So if I avoid that, internal misery for something that I enjoy, then I think it's worth it. And there's no doubt in my mind that at some point I'm going to get to that salary level and not just stay there, but supersede it. But that's playing the long game instead of the short game. So part of that, again, steering into the next habit was steering clear of debt. And the big thing there is, again, debt doesn't really give you any benefit. As I mentioned, by having no debt, it gave me more opportunity, more freedom to choose. Had I been in debt, I probably would have had taken, sucked it up and taken the higher salary position, even if it's something I wasn't truly, called to do or wanting to do, in order to get my financial straits in order. There's really, again, no benefit to having debt. You end up just paying more in interest. You end up paying twice in essence. Let's say you're buying, some new furniture. You buy it once on your credit card, and you have to pay for it again once you pay the credit card off. I know you could say that if I paid off at the end of every month, there's no extra interest accrued and it's the same money, but it's just that different emotional feel that, you're paying twice. And quite honestly, when do you actually feel the emotion of letting your money go? It's not the initial purchase. It's when you pay that credit card, when you get that statement. And that's not a very good thing in essence, that you're never going to control your spending. You're never going to be in charge of your money because you don't have any emotion going out when you just swipe a card. Debit card's better because it's still your money, but it's not the same as like paying with cash or something. And that goes into making that plan. You have to know where you want to spend it and how you want to spend it. That could be simply part of it's creating that budget. you are in control of that budget. You are the master of that budget. But the moment you finish that budget, you have to follow it. So it's a give and take there. It's your money, and you're making all the decisions for it. But once you make that decision, you need to follow it. So you're creating your own path, you're creating your own plan, and it's up to you then to follow it. And if you do, you'll have a much higher chance of being financially successful. If you don't, you're gonna end up wondering where your money went. Again, it's similar to when you go to college and you have a degree program, right? You sign up for your class, or you sign up for the college you enrolled, and then you create that degree program. You're the one that chose what degree to follow. You're the one that chose what speed and what intensity you wish to follow it at. And you created a plan. If you follow that plan, then the one that you created, then you're gonna get to the outcome you wanted in the set time that you want. Again, it's no different than with a budget. No different. If you're married though, you have to learn that, she mentions, talking about that money, you have to be willing, ready, and able to talk with your spouse about it. It's not always gonna be easy. In fact, at first it'll probably be hard. But the more you talk about it, the less taboo it becomes. And you'll find that not only will you become, better communicators about your money, and you'll have better control over it, but that'll branch out and you'll become better, stronger communicators in all aspects of your relationship. Where you put your money is where your priorities show. So where you're spending and how you're spending truly gives an indication of how you are and how you act and what you believe in as a person, because your money is a way of amplifying what it is that you want to do. If you're a good giving, if you're a generous person, you love to give, that's who you are as a person. But if you get more money, it's just going to amplify it. If you're selfish and like to just, shove everything under your mattress, you get more money, it's just going to amplify that. So the more you talk about it, the greater sense you'll have of who you are and how you work with money, as well as how your partner, your spouse, works with money. And if you don't have a spouse, you can find a friend that you trust, and this is huge for that accountability. It could be as simply as just when you have a big purchase coming up, letting them know, so that way they can see if it's rational along with you, that you have the funding, you're not just making a mistake, just to spender, so to speak. Because again, the habit 5 that we talk about is saving like you mean it, meaning there's things that in life you need to save for. A big one could be your payment for a house, right? To pay in full if you can, or your down payment. Another one could be saving for retirement. And that's a tough one for, that people around my age, because it seems so distant, so far into the future, that it's nothing to be worried about right now. But I'm here to tell you, the sooner you get started at it, the stronger your retirement will be, the easier it'll be, and the less you'll have to be concerned about. Having money in the bank is a good way to, give yourself a safety net. It's a great way to, kind of life-proof for your events. That's why we have the emergency fund. That's why you want to have that large retirement. If you have kids, maybe you want to save for their college. You get the idea. There's different things in life you want to save for. Some big, like the ones we just mentioned. Others not quite as big. Maybe you want to get a new phone. Well, let's say your phone costs $1,000 to purchase, and you want to get it, let's see, for right now, right now, it's August. If I wanted to purchase that new phone it's April right now. Let's say I want to purchase that new phone in August. That's 4 months, right? Do I just wait, and then August comes and I buy it, and then I have a payment plan for the next 3 years, paying like $25 a month to get it? Or I have 4 months. If I save $250 a month for the next 4 months, I can just buy the phone. Let's say and this is something I'm looking at, I want to get a new car by next summer of 2022. If I were to save $500 for every month for the next 12 months, that's $6,000. I can probably have a pretty good car for $6,000. If I save a little more, you get the idea. Let's even just adding on a few more months, and I purchase in June of next year, that brings me up to $7,000. If I were to save $1,000 each month, then that's what, $14,000, or anything in between. If it's $750 instead of the $7,000 for $500, the $14,000 for $1,000, it would be quick math. just around 11,000. I know it's not exact, but you get the idea. It's like 10,500. Again, all depends on what you're saving and what your priorities are. If you want, this does involve sacrifice. So if you're trying to save for that new phone, you might not be able to go out, to eat as much. You might not be able to buy all the, app add-ons in that moment. But that's not permanent. It's just, where do you put your money and what do you spend the money on? What's important to you? And again, spending is a habit. Habit 6 is spending, and there's nothing wrong with spending, but you have to have a purpose behind why you're spending. To spend is not necessarily the best way to go about it. If you know that's you, then if you want to just have some discretionary money that you can spend at any point in time, go for it. I have a natural inclination to save, but at the same time, I am by no means am I not a spender. Do I like the nerd aspects of budgeting and tracking? Sure. But do I want to track it down to every minute thing? No. That's why I created, instead of saying, entertainment money as in tickets or something, restaurants, bars, you get the idea. All the various things that would be in the discretionary money. Instead of having different funds for each, I tried that and I absolutely despised it. I just put them all into one large pot saying fun money, meaning my play money. If I want to spend all of it on a night out, I could do that. If I want to spend it all buying a new game, I could do that. If I want to use it, some for a night out, some for a game, some for going bowling, I could do that. Bottom line is, it's the same amount of money as if I were to space it out and spread it out over the entertainment, eating out, you get the idea, little subcategories, but I just put it together. That works for some, may not work for others, but that gives me the chance to have a more discretion and spontaneous spending if I so choose. But I still know, I still know what I have and what I feel comfortable spending, because all my other bills, all my other needs are taken care of. So that's kind of the concept of spending on purpose. Again, you don't have to have it down to every minute detail. You don't have to have it planned out for the entire month, but you do need to have a plan for your money so you don't overspend, go into debt, or not have enough money to cover your actual expenses for that month. And then the last habit 7, is talking about giving. She says that it's worth giving a little even when you're just starting off, so that way later on you can give a lot. I think it's a muscle that needs building. This is something I haven't done the best of job at yet, and it's something I'm looking to get started in the new month with my new budget. And I don't necessarily know the best way to start this, but I think it's just one of those ones I have to just get started. They always talk about Ramsey Solutions, how there's 3 things you can do with money: spend it, save it, give it. And I'm missing part of the triangle here. And they talk about how giving is what helps you create a more fulfilled life, because humans are naturally inclined to be givers to most extents. There's always exceptions to the rule, but in general, people like to help other people. And by no means am I an exception to that rule. I do giving quite often with the business. I would like to say I'm a spontaneous giver, but I know that I need to plan some more and actually dive in to see who I'd like to work with and what companies or organizations I feel I trust in. But that's something I'm going to look to add into my monthly budget, my giving. I probably won't start with a whole lot, just to start building that muscle, building the idea that this is something I want to do and capable of doing. But there you have it. It's an important thing to add into your life, because it's like the saying goes, paying it forward, what comes around goes around. So they always typically find that people that help others and give time, energy, money, whatever it may be, end up getting better returns in the long run. I'm not just talking financial terms. I'm just talking, overarching, if you want to believe in karma, so to speak. But in general, though, this was a good book. I finished it quite quickly. In fact, I think it was a 5-day read. It was an easy read. It was one I enjoyed going through, and I think you will too, especially if you're looking for just a different connotation on money that's very relatable. She talks about how growing up in the Ramsey household after going through their bankruptcy, she never really had a point where she was in debt. She's never been in debt, and it was a unique read to hear from someone that's lived this connotation, this concept of, this no debt, financial common sense idea from day one. So I would highly recommend it. Having started her next book, the Know Yourself, Know Your Money. It's a very good read as well. If you want to read along with me, I'd encourage you to do so. I anticipate having that one done and having that video up next week. But as for application, I know I always mention how I'm looking to apply this to my life. I'm definitely gonna work. I don't have debt now, so habit 2 I got checked off. I do make a plan for my money, so habit 3 I've checked off. Talk about money. I'm fairly comfortable talking about money. This is something I've been working on for the past couple years. I know there's always room for improvement, but I'm doing well there. So that one's an in-progress check, I suppose you could say. And it's always room for more, for improvement. But in general, I have that checked off. I'm doing a good job at saving. I know I need to prioritize how I want to save a little better. I've been shuffling around a little bit this past few months, so I need to lock that in. Retirement, though, has been always there. My housing's always been there, so it's more the discretionary saving for, toys, I suppose you could say. Think before you spend. This is where that saving comes in. I've been a little prone to buy right now. I've been looking at, just purchased an Apple Watch. I've been looking at the Browns season tickets. I've been looking at a new Wildcat. So all stuff I should save for and all stuff I am saving for, but I had stuff saved for one and I fluxed it over to the other. So I guess I should look at it not so much saving for a particular item. I could also just look for it as similar to I have my fund money for the month. I could just say discretionary savings. I don't know the exact way I want to do it, but I've been fluxing that around and kind of spending freely with that recently. Part of it is I know I have the money and I feel comfortable doing so. Other part could be just had a breakup in my, broke up with my girlfriend, so maybe I'm trying to fill a void there, but who knows? But that's okay. Not even if it's not the right choice, it's not a fatal decision. It's not going to harm me. I'm sure I'll get some enjoyment out of it, even if it's not a ton. But again, non-fatal failure or non-fatal error if it ends up being that. If not, cool. I get a new watch or something, and all things work out. But again, since I don't have debt and since I'm working on my savings elsewhere, not touching that, it gives me the security that I need to be able to make those purchases, whether with or without proper education, I guess you could say. But something I need to work on there. Again, always room for improvement. The 2 big things I'm looking to take away from this book, though, are, as I mentioned, the giving. I need to start incorporating that. She mentioned starting with something as small as even 1% of my income. I'll probably start with that 1% just to, test the water, so to speak, and make sure that I'm ready for this, and then I'll look to jump it up quickly, though. I'd like to get to that 10% mark. I know that's, being Christian and all, that's, it's a tithe. Maybe that's something that I miss in my life, and I think it truly might be. So the only other thing would be that comparison game. I do pretty well on that, but as I mentioned, there's, areas in my life that I need to work on it, whether it be with a career, the ability to travel. I'm a big experienced person. Like I know I just mentioned buying new toys, but there's so much I wish I could see and do, and I feel like that I truly just can't do it right now. And there's a few reasons, part of it being the money, the bigger part being, I can't leave the business right now. And quite honestly, that's starting to bring me down a little bit because I want to go out and explore, and I didn't open a business so I'd be trapped here. I know what you're thinking. Gotta pay your dues, or the business owner ends up working more. But I truly don't believe that. I think that's if you're working in your business, not on it. And I want to, I guess, fast forward to the point I'm working on it fully. So if you're looking for a job in the Cleveland area, we're gonna be hiring. But on a different note, my 2 big takeaways, something I'm looking to work on, would be my giving and then my comparison living. I'm sure I'll let you know how that goes in my next video. Again, this one starts talking and breaking it down as to why I think this way. It's first few chapters have definitely been a little more enlightening and just make me think as to why I think and act the way I do. But yeah, overall, Rachel Cruze's book, Love Your Life, Not Theirs, definitely a good read. If you have any money concerns, or if you're just trying to figure out what to do next, or where you stand, or if you're having a problem with any of those 7 habits, whether you're comparing yourself, you have debt, you're not giving, you get the idea. This is a good book. I highly recommend it. As always, I'll put the link to purchase in the show notes. If you want to read along with the next one, Know Yourself, Know Your Money, that'll be in the show notes as well. Love to hear your comments, your thoughts. If you read it before, let me know what you think. Go and comment below if you have a discussion. If you think one of my points was, different than yours, we'd be happy to, get some talk back and forth. If you have another book that you think I should read, that you think I'd enjoy, or that you think would be worth the read, let me know. Always looking for more. But as for right now, let's just keep getting to it. Appreciate you guys being here, and I'll see you guys next week.